The deadline in this sector for voluntary presentation at the experimental center is 6 o'clock.
You're supposed to be an artist. Use your imagination.
Oh, thanks a lot. I'm all out.
What's happening, everybody? Shelton J. Think About It Radio. Motivation Monday. Can you dig it? I got my special guest on there with me tonight, Miss Nesha Dabney, Miss Chessley Johnson. And we're going to talk about a little bit about this marriage, the bad and the ugly. I know we said the good, the bad, and the ugly, but we're going to talk about the bad and the ugly. And we want the ladies' perspective, because sometimes, we as men, we just tell our side of it. So we want to definitely be balanced with this thing right here. Miss Johnson, Miss Dabney, welcome to Think About It Radio. How you guys doing this evening?
All right. So, and this is Nesha Dabney. Thanks for having me.
Very welcome.
This is Chessley Johnson. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Miss Johnson, let the people know how to get a hold of you, anything you got going on, all that good stuff, and then we'll give it to Miss Dabney, and then we'll just get this thing started. Can you dig it?
All right. You can catch me on my Facebook page, Chessley Miss Cat Johnson. You can hit me up there. And that's pretty much all the social media I do.
I can dig it. I can dig it. She says simple, straight to the point. Miss Dabney.
And my name is, again, is Nesha Dabney, and I'm on Facebook and Instagram as well. As V-Class First Edition on Instagram, and on Facebook, it's Nesha, Nesha Dabney. And I do sell Avon as well, so you can check that out. You just go to the regular Avon website, and it's avon.com/Nesha Dabney, and the spelling is NESHADABNEY.
Go get your Avon, your cosmetics from Miss Dabney. Man, I want to thank you guys, man, once again, though, for your time and your energy that you're going to bring to this Motivation Monday show. So, again, without further ado, we talk about marriage, the bad and the ugly, right? When I know when your young ladies plan a marriage, you want to be, I guess, married at a young age and plan the wedding and all that. When it's bad and ugly stuff come up, what happens? How do you deal with it? What do you do? And I'm very interested. I'm going to start with you, Miss Dabney. I'll start with you real quick about the bad and the ugly. And then we're going to tackle both of them. You guys can hit on each one whenever you feel like it, but we're going to tackle both of those. So what does that look like, from a young queen, from a young lady's perspective, the bad and the ugly side of marriage?
Okay, and it's good that you said from a lady's perspective, because what I'm going to give you is exactly that, and that's my perspective, because I do understand that everybody's story is different. And just kind of starting off, like right before we got married, we actually been together for about 10 years, and I've been married for 3 years, going on 4 years. And, of course, no relationship is perfect. It was pretty rocky, actually, from the very beginning. And with my story, I have a stepson, in which I call my own. Mm-hmm. And so I went into a relationship with the man who has a child. And with that understanding, I was willing and I fell in love with that child because I loved the man that I was with. And so first and foremost, I think that's important. If you are going to be in a relationship with someone, make sure that you not only love that person who you're with, but you have to love that child first if they have children for it to be successful. That's just my opinion.
That's right.
But it was very, 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 very difficult dealing with, a child who has a mother who was not very understanding. And to be honest with you, it was pretty rocky the first couple of years to where we were about to split, Mm-hmm. And majority of it is because of balance. We were younger. We were immature. We didn't really want to thoroughly understand one another when it came to that child. And me not having any children, I didn't understand part of where he was coming from. And I didn't want to understand what he was saying to me as well, because my rationale was completely different. So one thing I can say is, prayer. Prayer helped out tremendously, and we just continued to pray about it. We know we wanted to be together, and we were just willing to stick it out. and unfortunately, my son's mom, she passed away a couple of years ago.
Wow.
And so I don't deal with that anymore. But to be honest with you, I wish that she was here. You know, and it just kind of hurts my heart just thinking about it because, you know, every child needs their mom, period,
Yes,
you know. But yeah, I mean, for me, it was just the balancing of, you know, him picking up his child and then dealing with the baby mama because she would, you know, demand certain things or not allow him to see his child just because, you know, she was upset or jealous or envious or whatever the case was. Because I was one of those baby mamas, and I'm not just saying it because it's myself, but I'm not baby mama, but girlfriend who wasn't like a drama queen, you know, or I wasn't one of those type of women. You know, if anything, I'm the one that's trying to wave at her, like, hey, how you doing? You know, and she wasn't trying to see it at first. You know, she wasn't trying to hear it. And again, after so long, I had to understand, you know, it was still kind of fresh for her after their breakup that she was maybe still in love with him, and it was just going to take her some time to go on and move on with her life, you know. So again, you know, for me, that was the ugly for the most part, and I can say that was really the reasoning as to why it took us so long to actually get married, because I wanted to make sure that I made the right decision, you know, and we come to an agreement on pretty much everything to be more equally yoked before we made that commitment.
That's solid. I mean, I think that's a good step to make, though, and a good step to actually take, because you didn't get into it hoping that the marriage would fix it. You wanted it to be fixed before you got into the marriage. You know, it's almost like sometimes, you know, let's have a baby and we can fix the situation. I like the way you brought that in. That's very, very solid. Very good way to break down the ugly. Miss Johnson, Miss Johnson, Miss Johnson, Miss Johnson. It is on you. The floor is yours.
To reiterate kind of what Nesha was saying, you know, I understand how that goes. This is actually my second marriage. So my first marriage, I was young when I married my girl's dad. I think I was about 22. He was several years older than I was. And I think he was probably about 39, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So, you know, at the time, you know, he didn't have kids. Well, his kids were my age. So, you know, I never had to deal with that issue. And me and him, we were married 8 years. So, you know, that whole situation. But in my marriage now, you know, like I said, as to reiterate what Nesha was saying, is because I didn't have to deal with other kids like that in my first marriage. Now, my second one, my husband now, he has daughters.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then his daughters are teenage girls, you know. And so that was kind of it wasn't, I can't say really difficult, and I didn't have to really deal with, you know, kind of the baby mama drama, I guess, in a sense, with his girl's mama. We actually just got custody of them a year ago. So, well, if I'm going to say, a year ago. So, I think that we have, because I have kids too. I have a teenage son, or I have two teenage sons here, and then I have my two daughters. Well, my oldest son is still here.
Yeah.
But, you know, it was one of those type of things with us when it came, especially like with the children, you know, having to communicate, like, you know, as far as discipline and this and that, you know, with the kids. And, you know, we never really kind of bumped heads about it. But I think the biggest issue we ended up running into at one point in time with the kids was my son, you know. And I had to have a conversation with my brother Brandon about this, you know.
Shout out Brandon.
Yeah. That's my bro, my bro, the big bro.
Thank you too.
Yes, my ace. But yeah, you know, like I think that he was explaining to me, and this is something that I was trying to get an understanding from my husband. And, you know, as a mama, you know, we gonna kind of be defensive, sometimes when it comes to our kids, my kid can do no wrong type of situation.
Mm-hmm.
But, as far as having a conversation with my husband about certain things that my son was doing, I didn't want us to clash and it, interfere with our relationship. So, like I said, I was talking to Brandon about it, and he was like, well, you got to understand, too, from your husband's perspective, he entered a relationship with a pretty much almost a grown man, and there was just some things I felt like I was kind of pushing on my husband, but so again, like I said, he had to understand that, when a man enters a relationship with a boy, when it's a boy, like he's a young kid, he can develop that relationship.
Right.
The child is still growing, he's mentally developing. So when you get to a relationship with somebody and, like I say, it's almost a grown adult, their mind is kind of established.
Yeah. It is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. And so thankfully my son, he's a respectable kid. He ain't, he don't talk back or, snap like that. But, they have had some discussions. We kind of smooth that issue out, But for the most part, I guess that's kind of our, that was our thing at the beginning. And, it did take some time for us to kind of get through that because I had to get my own understanding about the situation, So I had to kind of see things from his perspective. And again, I think that with relationships and marriages, it's all about perspective.
Yep.
And, having to have those talks and communication between each other, I think that's what ends up having things in a bad situation.
Man, you hit the you made a great point with that one, because when you said the communication aspect of it, and then y'all sit down and discuss the situation with the son and the negativity and stuff like that, I think, man, that has to be a united front. It has to be a concerted effort that, hey, you know what? We're not going to deal with this. We're not going to play this, rather than, well, that person over there is acting this way and then got you acting this way and got you treating me this way. And that's where a lot of the ugliness and the bitterness come from, because as I know from personal experience, there's only so much you can say about a person's child. They're going to let you say about their child. Right. Even though they may be mad and upset and you saying, oh, rah, rah, rah. Oh, wait a minute now. That's my child.
Yeah,
that's my child.
That's true.
You know what I mean? So it's like you have to, sometimes I think as men, we have to kind of like guard ourselves. And I don't know if in men like me, but sometimes I'm like, rah. It's like it's coming out. There's no filter. And so sometimes, you have to really gauge that, how you say it, because it becomes more uglier or more bad than it needs to be, right? Because everyone wants to prove their point. Everyone wants to be right. You ain't gonna talk to me like that. I'm grown. And so, and again, I think that's where it becomes ugly. And I like the point that you made, though, that you guys did it. Y'all sit there. You didn't try to, make one person or the other person do one thing or another. It was, hey, let's sit down and let's resolve this and let's turn the page on that. And I think that's so important in situations, because I think if you don't have that, it steady gets worse. We steady taking the pill when we have the headache, rather than why do I keep getting a headache?
Right.
So I love that point. I mean, I went off on a little bit on that one. My bad. I really like, because I think teamwork makes a dream work. You have to have that, because we go from the good, the bad, the ugly. You don't have that. What you got? Right. Because if we're not a team, then what are we together for?
That's right. Absolutely. Togetherness is key, and also additional key factors, I think, is like you said, communication is number one.
Yes.
Secondly, just understanding and loyalty. Listen to one another, and just have compassion for one another. Keep things new. You can't get bored with one another, because that's when people start to sway and do their own little thing. I think you have to keep it as well.
Mm-hmm. You're right. I mean, you definitely have to keep it interesting. I mean, I think it's evolving. With marriage, it's like evolving, because each person gets older, and then maybe what I wanted at 25, I may not want at 27. So true. I think it did. But I think sometimes, though, man, we have to have those honest conversations. I said this on the show before. I think a lot of times in relationships where they become bad and ugly, if you will,